Good morning, Yorkshire Classic Cars Limited fans, and welcome to a beautifully sunny day in Retford. Thought I'd introduce you to the latest project in the mill. As you can see, the workshop is lovely and empty. My Capri's still over there. First, a teeny tiny apology. There hasn't been much content recently. I managed to hurt my back, and as you can probably see, I've been moving cars around and I physically couldn't do it, so I haven't been at work. However, having had a couple of days off, I'm now back to just working in complete agony. So the car in the mill is that one. Okay, it's a Porsche, if you want to be posh, but it's a Porsche 924. And it's really nice, I have to say. I was never a fan of these when I was young. However, this one is really, really lovely. I always liked the 944 with the slightly flared arches on. And these were just like, they were kind of like the poverty specs. I just didn't like them. Now, this is probably a staged build. I don't really know at this point. But the first stage, if you like, is the front end. You can probably see the front end here. It's got a few sort of fairly pretty obvious issues. The sills have been done previously in the inner sills. And actually, they're to a good standard. The owner isn't bothered about a concourse build, so we're just going with solid and as nice as possible, obviously. But we are stripping the suspension and detailing it and doing all that sort of stuff. We're making it roadworthy, safe, drivable and smart, ready for a respray again. Obviously, you'll notice the front wings, front fenders, if we're speaking Americanese, are missing. The front fenders stroke wings are rotten. So the owner has sent with it, I think they're in it, they may be around the workshop somewhere, a pair of replacement front wings. He bought a donor car actually, but I'll come to that later. And the first part of this job is to investigate here. Now these shells were galvanised originally, which is something I'm worrying a little bit about welding because I don't end up platting my eyes. But as you can see, there's some grot in here, around the jacking points, there's some rust in here. I did say to him, obviously, if this is rotten, this is all going to have to be cut out and repaired, which makes the job a lot more involved. If it just turns out that I can wire wheel that and it's solid, which I'd be really surprised about, but you never know, you just never do know. It doesn't seem as bad as I recall. Then it's just a matter of repairing this section here at the bottom and underneath, which I'll show you later on when I get to repairing it. The wings will be going on. This will be cleaned back, and what I'll do is I'll treat where I've cleaned it off. There's no point stripping all that back unless I suspect there's rust or rot under there, which there isn't. So these are factory holes and things. These are not rot holes. There is some rust there, so I may clean all that off. We'll see when we get there. But hopefully in the first instalment here, what I'm going to do is there is a front valance in the car, the valance that goes under there. I know Americans call that a valance. I don't know why, because it's a valance. Front apron, if you like, but that there is damaged and rotten, just to add double the trouble. So basically what I'm aiming to do is, hopefully for him this in his first sort of instalment of repairs, get that pillar repaired if it needs it, and the bottom of the pillar, obviously big strength, key strength area there. Treat the inner wing areas, anywhere there's any rust. If I clean this back here where the tape has been, and all this is like brand new around it, I am cleaning all this off because it's well adhered. It hasn't gone rusty or rotten, and it's not going to if it hasn't done previously. I'll clean down this edge where there's a trip. I'm going to a trap for moisture. Fit the wings, repair the replacement valance and install it, it's got some minor damage on it, but not a huge amount. And then do the same on the other side, obviously. Things like these brackets, I'll take them off, I'll sandblast them, I'll clean them all up. That one's pretty rotten anyway, so that might go in the skip. But I'll use it as a pattern. As you can see, there's an even bigger grot hole here. But that's just kind of par for the course of what we expect. This, to me, looks like it's rotten. What I'm hoping there is this rot is just that and not behind it. But what I'll do is I'll cut and weld a section in down the edge of here. Obviously, I'll remove all this rust and rot and this seam here. I'll check the inner wing before I go any further. This is what I'm on with today, obviously. And we'll get into there and see what that's like. As I say, the sills are done. The doors are good. These quarters, I believe, are good, but I'll check them before it goes for paint. It's not going to be next week. And then the rear wheel arches have obviously got some grotting, as per any sort of 80s, 90s car, really. No car, in my experience, is any worse than any other. Some have degraded worse, but that kind of depends on the life the car's had. You'll see in the boot there, he says, if I can remember how to open the blooming thing. Can't remember how to open the blooming thing. Oh, it's here. I can't find it. Oh no, need the key. You can see the panels and parts in the boot there. The customer actually, I'll diversify here a bit, but the customer actually bought a donor car to cut up for parts. The donor car is better than this car. When I say better, I mean significantly better. This car is very, very rotten in its corners, but when we've finished, it'll be as good as, well, as good as they ever were when they left the factory, probably a bit better. It kind of draws me on. Let me selfie you. That kind of draws me on. What happens to people is, people quite often come to me and say, financially, you know, ooh, it's a lot of money, ooh, it won't be worth that much when it's done. Now, I'm always quick to step in here, and I don't like to sort of feel like I'm robbing anyone or deceiving them. So what I will say is, if you're going to have a car restored, you're not going to be in front financially, ever. If somebody says they can restore it and you'll come out in front, then they're either not doing it right or they're just plain lying to you. Restoration work is expensive. This car is not worth a huge amount of money, but it holds sentimental value to the owner, and therefore he wants it repaired. All the cars, like this car, the Maroon Stag, sentimental value for the owner. My car, both of them are, not the Skyline, but the Capri has sentimental value. You know, the Capri, my Capri, just to use it as an example, somebody said to me a while ago, what do you reckon you've got in that now? And I went, over the years, probably 75 grand, maybe a bit more. He went, oh my God, it can't be worth that, can it? I went, no, hell no, it's probably worth, he said, what would you expect to get for it? I went, 15 grand, probably, maybe, tops. If I advertised it tomorrow, I'd probably put it up for 20 and expect to get nearer to 15, but probably closer to 10. But I never did any of this for financial reward. If you're coming into it for financial reward, if you're buying a cheap car and thinking you'll get it done up and then flog it on, it's not going to happen. Even if you do it yourself, it's not going to happen. I did an old Escort, bought it for, you know, not going into the monetary values of it, but I bought it very cheap. Not for the time. At the time, it was a fair value for what it was. In my opinion, it was anyway. Did it up, sold it, and made, well, I kind of doubled my money, but I never charged myself for any of the labour I put in. And I worked on that day in, day out for 6 months. Every evening, every weekend for 6 months. I financially, on paper, to an accountant, I made money. In the real world, I did not. And the only reason I actually came out in front was because during the time I was building it, Mark II Escorts went rocketing up in value. Was it worth as much as a good standard one with a proper engine in? No. For what it was, it did okay, and it came out, financially I came out in front, but in actual real terms, if I had to charge labour, oh God, no. You know, there'd been like £50,000 worth of labour in it, you know. I spent every waking minute making parts, using parts, and luckily things like, you know, rear axles, diffs, all that stuff I had already, so, you know, I didn't have to spend a lot of money on bits, seat belts, seats, all stuff like that, you know. I was quite lucky with a lot of the stuff I bought. But anyway, I digress. The fact is, financially, you're never going to come out in front. And he knows that this is not a very, very, very worth £1 million collectible car. It's not a 911. It's not a 911 turbo. But to him, it means the world. And that's all that matters. Is it going to cost him millions to repair it? Oh, God, no. But it's not, you know, it's not an absolute basket case by any means. It needs some work. But they all do at this age. So it's not, you know, but it still will cost more than the car will ever be worth in the end. But either way, that's the next build that's in progress. What I think I'll do next is get her up on the ramp. I will show you the engine before we go. Sorry. Please apologise for that. There's the engine. I'm told, I think the gas rams don't really stay up. I think there is a prop somewhere, but anyway, we'll hold it for now. Bob in the comments section if you know what that engine originally was fitted to. Yes, I do know. It runs off K-Jet, as did most 80s fuel injection systems back in the day. I won't show you the fuel pipes underneath for the time being, but they are spectacular. When it comes up in the air, I'll show you. These are the motors for the pop-up headlamps, stuff like that. That one obviously controls both sides with the relay in the end. I am going to be working on the engine for him, just getting it running and everything. There's not a lot you can do with them, to be honest. Once they're tuned and they're right, as long as everything's working out, it should all run all right. But I'll give it a good service and go over it, because the fuel pipes have all sort of... The 5/16 or 8mm fuel pipe has expanded to about 28mm under the car, and it is quite funny. And he said he'd put some fresh fuel in, but there's no way this thing was going to start. But as you can see, things like the wing lips, which are something that goes on Capris and Fords of every ilk, and other cars as well, obviously, they are absolutely solid all the way up, so that's good news as well. The inner wings are all good, don't need to touch those at all. I will be cleaning them off before it goes off for paint, obviously, but there's no rot. You can see there's no rot. There's a bit of a patch of rust there, but nothing, no rot at all. The engine itself is clean overall. Is it concourse clean? Absolutely not. Could it be concourse clean? Absolutely. It's pretty untouched under there. It's not been chavved up or anything, so we kind of like that. The interior in the car is lovely. Although this was sort of the budget end of the Porsche repertoire, the seats and the dash and everything, they're all very, very nice. They're all obviously leather. And they're really comfy. It's a comfy car to sit in and drive around, you know. Well, I imagine so. I obviously haven't driven this one. I have driven them previous to this. If you look at the rear seat there, it's really buckety and everything. I love that. I always love a bucket rear seat. And it is just a nice car. Unfortunately, it's got something that you can't smell, obviously, on the video, but I can. The garage it was being kept in had got a terrible damp problem. And it's one of the reasons it's been here quite a long time. Because the owner desperately wants to get it out of that garage while he was having another one built at his house. Because this garage was basically underwater just about. It was awfully damp, it stunk, it was all mouldy and everything. But it was obviously taking its toll on the car, as you can imagine. As luck would have it, with it being a galvanised shell, it's only rusted where it's ever been damaged or scratched. So overall, it's actually very, very good. If this had been like a 50s, 60s car, I would imagine there'd be nothing left of it by now. It'd be one of those, oh, I found it in a garage and it's worth millions, and you found it in a garage and it's worth £130 a tonne. But yeah, so that's that. I removed things like the brake pads and stuff when it first came in because the brakes were sticking. And obviously I've had to push it around, which is something I've been building up to with me, what feels like that highly damaged spine. Basically I had to push the Capri in. I did a little service on the car, pushed my car out, put the car on the ramp, did the service, and then I had to push my car back in. And I may have inadvertently left the handbrake on a click. So I was really struggling with it. And I've used the small of my back to push it in backwards. So I leaned my back against it and pushed it in, and it has hurt me quite significantly. But anyway, back to the job in hand. There's the Porsche. That's the next job on the cards. So I'm going to be doing a week or two on this. Well, a couple of weeks on this. And then we'll be back to the Stag. Because I've got the front end to get off that, but I would like to have it on the ramp to do that. So basically, I was hoping that in the next couple of weeks I could get all this work done, depending on how bad it was on the Porsche front end, to the point where it's all sealed and treated. But if I can at least get the wings on, I said if I do it before that couple of weeks, then I'll probably have a go at the engine and see if I can change the fuel pipes and stuff and get it running again. But obviously that can be a very time-consuming little task. But if I've got a day left, I'll spend it just getting the engine sort of serviced and fuel pipes and stuff changed, and then come back to it probably at a later date. But yeah, so that's that really. Get me weld on, off we go. Obviously I'll be videoing it as I do it. I don't think this customer found me through YouTube actually, but he may have done, he may not. But I'll video it for him. It'll all go on there. The Stag will be doing the front end videos will be on that soon, by the end of this month. You will have seen an influx of videos, things like the Rover V8 video if you subscribe. And that's basically because I'd shot it, and then I've been off poorly with my back. I've been editing videos because basically once I got myself sat on the settee, I was kind of comfy and the pain alleviated a bit until I had to stand up and take pain relief. It's done it before. I'm not too concerned about it, but it's rather annoying. So yeah, that's that. Hope you like it. If you like the Porsches, the Triumphs, and the dirty old Capri, I don't think anybody likes the dirty old Capri, but either way I do. Please consider subscribing. If you have subscribed, could you please ring the bell? I've noticed a lot of my subscribers aren't watching. I've like 4,000 subscribers and I'm getting 300 views on my videos. I know you can't appeal to everyone with every video, but you know, just seem a large displacement in numbers. But either way, the Porsche build will be fun. The Triumph build will continue to be fun. And yeah, please consider liking if you've enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.